Howdy, I'm Grey Pilgrim. Well, one of my viewers asked me to do more or another video on the Colt Walker. Well, I happen to have two of them. One, two. To sort of satisfy my inner Josie Wells, you know. This one is an Army San Marcos, and this one, I can't remember if it's I think it's a Pieta. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a Pieta. Could be either a Pieta or a Uberti, but I think it's a Pieta. But anyway, this one here is kind of interesting in that the cylinder that's in it at the moment, this is the actual cylinder it's shipped with. I think. Is it? Nope, that's not it. Where the heck is it? I thought it was up there. Hold on just a second, let me find that. I know I've got a Walker cylinder. That's off of a 1860. Got a lot of cylinders, a lot of various ones. Yeah, here it is. Here's my my Walker cylinder. Oh, and the reason that the cylinder is not in this one is a little bit of a shaggy dog story. I was in a local thrift store and I found a bag full of 45 ACP rounds. Well, normally Colt, I mean, if you want to run one of these with a cartridge, you'd actually run it with 45 long Colt. Well, I had this bag, it cost me $5, I think. There was like 500 45 ACP rounds in it, or pieces of brass. Well, I took them home, cleaned them, and primed them. I was sitting there looking at that jar full of 45s. It was a big jug. And I was looking through online through Taylor & Company's catalog, and they had a sale on a 45 ACP cylinder for a Colt Walker. I could get the long Colt, but this one cost me, I think it was $50 less. So I thought, well, what the heck? I've got all these free brass. I could just load up a bunch in black powder and shoot them through this. Yeah, I could shoot them, load them with Trail Boss or something else and do a cowboy load of some kind with smokeless. But I wanted to try it with black powder anyway. So let me do something. I want to show you. Let's see here. Yeah, that's not going to work. How am I going to do this? I know. Let me get my Leatherman, put it like yonder, and then do that. Oh, and then do yonder. Yeah, that's it. This is how it's done. Now, of course, leave it to me to mess it all up. Anyway, oh, come on, you. Let me just, one moment, please. There. What you do, I found that the easiest way to do this is you pull off the cylinder, you take the cylinder that belongs on here, put it on, and put the whole thing back together again. And this is how a Colt Walker goes together. Let me tell you about this gun. Back in the day, there was this young buck working for his father, and his father, now I'm doing this off the top, and I haven't read the books in a long time, so bear with me. This young buck was working for his father, who was a shipper, and he was a young man, and he got into trouble the way young men get into trouble. And his father thought, well, what I need to do with this young buck is put him back on one of the clipper ships and send him off from New England to, parts east. So he rode on a ship to Calcutta in India. He stopped in Europe. He went to England. And according to legend, he looked at the wheel of the ship, and from that he deduced the fact that how a cylinder should work in a revolver, and invented the revolver. Well, that's not quite true. You see, Colt, when he was in England, he went and toured the Tower of London. And while looking through the Tower of London, he saw some flintlock revolvers that were there. And there's a great book on these. It's called, what is it? Clockwork Basilisk. It's a 2-volume set. And basically, it's the Playeur revolver. There's also some great articles in some older magazines on them. And the difference between a Colt and a Playeur is the Playeur, you would shoot it, cock it, then take your other hand and rotate the cylinder to the next chamber, click it into place, cock it again, shoot it, and continue to do that. Colt made one innovation on that. He came up with what later was called the hand. And the hand is a way to incorporate the cylinder and the hammer together so that when you pull the hammer, the cylinder spins. So that it's a little bar down here that turns the cylinder as you cock it. Well, he went back to New England and got a little bit of money and he got a gunsmith he knew, and they drew up some plans, and he was going to make these. And he says, okay, I need some more money. Well, Colt, being the entrepreneurial sort that he was, he went and toured the West and the Midwest with traveling shows, billing himself as Dr. Colt of Calcutta, and was putting on demonstrations for the locals. Demonstrations of what? He brought along bottles of nitrous oxide and was showing them the secrets of the Orient, as it were. And he would take the money he earned from those carnival shows, ship them back to the gunsmith in England, and have him build the revolvers. Well, meanwhile, there was this thing going on down in Florida called the Seminole Wars. And there was a fellow named Coffee Hayes and a buddy of his by the name of Sam Walker who were down there, and they bought up some of these Colt revolvers. These things, by the way, I don't have one of them, by the way. I wish I did. They're in 28, 31, or 36 caliber. And they're rudimentary. They've got a few warts and all problems with them. They're god-awful revolvers. They're stupid to have as a revolver. But as an example of type, I would love to get one. Anyway, and they would fool the heck out of the Indians, because the Indians were used to guys using those things up there, single-shot pistols. And what would happen was a fellow would be cornered by some Indians riding around on a pony or whatever, shooting their arrows, and he'd go bang with his musket, and then pull out his pistol and go bang again. And then while he was standing there reloading, the Indians would come rushing in and fill them full of arrows. Well, they tried it with these guys, but each of them was armed with 2 of these Colt Patterson revolvers, and they were 5 shots. So up comes an Indian to fill them full of arrows, and instead he drops right off the saddle because he's just got shot dead. And then his buddy comes up and he gets shot dead, and then the next guy, and he gets shot dead, and suddenly all these guys were winning a lot. Well, they all went home to Texas, and this is about the time that the Texas Revolution was starting up. And Coffee Hayes turned to Walker and says, "Hey, that fellow Colt who made those Patterson revolvers, can you go up to Washington, use your connections with the War Department, see where he is, and have him make some more of them for us." So Walker went up to Washington to find Colt, only to find that Colt had gone bankrupt. Well, he ran into Colt. I forget where, but they sat down and chatted. And between the two of them, they crafted a new revolver. It wasn't the Patterson. It was this. This is called the Walker because of Samuel Walker. Well, by the time this thing came out, the Coffee, Hayes, and Walker were in the Texas Rangers. And they were trying to do their thing to protect Texas against the raiding Comanches and the up-and-coming Mexican army to try and take back Texas. And anyway, so they're working on that. And then America gets into a war with Mexico, and the Texans join in with the American army to go down to Veracruz and take over. Well, Walker and Hayes, they head off down to Mexico, but meantime, Colt has busily started making these walkers. He got some funding from the War Department, and I think he made 1,100 of them. He was commissioned or contracted to make 1,000, but he made 100 more to show off to various senators and other priority people, and a few for commercial sale. I'd like to know what happened to those ones. But anyway, Walker unfortunately got into a scrap down in Mexico, and he got killed down there before he even saw his revolver. But the first buyer of this particular revolver was the Texas Rangers. And they took him home with them, the ones that survived the thing, because the first model, they had a tendency to blow up because it wasn't the best quality iron. It wasn't steel, it was iron these were made from. Plus they were shooting conical bullets, and the problem is they were loading the conicals point down. They didn't know, and that created some overpressures that were just terrible. Well, anyway, the second, third variation of the Walker, they got the steel right, and they didn't blow up as much. And the Walker became quite the pistol. By the way, if you're interested, this is the book. This is the first edition of it. History of the Colt Revolver by Haven and Belden. And it's an excellent book. This is from the 1940s. You can still get a copy of this. I think the Heritage Press or somebody like that publishes it now. But this is a first edition. I had it in the Heritage Press. I think I gave it to my cousin. And for a book on the Texas Ranger, I would really suggest Doug Duke's book. I've chatted with the fellow myself. We both are fans of a particular YouTube channel, and we hang out in the comment section when they go live. Left and Bang Bang, good channel. Another one is Duke Frazier. He does a lot of videos with them, and Duke has also got he's a wealth of knowledge. But Doug Dukes, he was a cop down there himself, and he knows this, and he has a good style for writing. Do this. Well, that's a brand new battery, so God darn it, it should still work. Anyway, it keeps dying on me. Doug Duke. Now, what I was going to talk about was the Taylor & Company cylinder. This is how it works. You put your 45s in here, and then put this thing back in place. It's got a little pin, a register pin. Each cylinder now has like a firing pin built into it. Then you stick that back onto the revolver, put the whole thing back together again, and then instead of having a, oh gosh, where is it? Oh, there it is. Didn't work. There we go. And then the problem with a Pieta is it's just not the best quality. It's not up to Colt standards. By the way, the wedge on this particular revolver, If you look at any later Colt revolvers, the wedge goes in from this side, but on a Walker it goes in from this side. And let's do this. Yeah. Well, I'll do that later. But then you would shoot this, and it shoots like a .45 revolver. Now this Army San Marcos, this cylinder will not fit this particular revolver. There's just slight differences in the two. This was one of the very first ones made, and I think this the date on this from the Italian proof codes on it was 1975. So this is a pretty old revolver, but it's a really good one. Shoots well, and it's almost exactly to spec. The engraving on here, by the way, Colt always put engraving on his cylinders. It was sort of a copyright stamp so that you knew it was a Colt. And I think it's the Battle of Campeche, forget where, but it's a naval battle with the Texas Navy. And I think I know there was one of these on the 1851 and on the 1860. I forget if there was one on the Dragoon. Anyway, I can't remember. I'm a dumb hillbilly. I'm not really completely up on this stuff. By the way, I have several other really good books on the Colt. They're behind me over there. But I just wanted to mention the cylinder and the Colt Walker. And I hope that provides whatever I knew about them. Maybe it helps out. I don't know. Anyway, don't have much else to say about them. Happy trails.